if we're going to jump right into the basketball talk, it's hard to deal with. I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to deal with knowing about how the Brooklyn Nets, now the Brooklyn Nets.
Brooklyn!
In a matter of, what? They've been out of Jersey for 3 months?
When did their season end? April?
October when it tipped off.
Nothing wrong with
Buzzing.
Skadoosh!
Skadoosh. No, you got to figure they ended, let's see.
April, pretty much.
Yeah,
So,
early April.
The last day of the season, that's when they became Brooklyn. So, yeah, 2 months, we'll say.
And in a matter of 2 months, this team goes from one of the biggest jokes of the NBA to making some of the biggest moves that have been made in the NBA in the past couple years. Outside of what Miami's done, I don't know if anything like this is really maybe Miami and maybe the Knicks and what they did to get Melo, but I don't.
What the Celtics did to get KG and Allen as well.
Well, the Celtics signed KG.
Yeah.
And they traded for Allen. So I mean, and they drafted Rondo, the biggest pieces to everything they did. So I don't know. And they let Perkins go after they won the championship, but he was somebody they drafted. I don't know. But not many teams have done what the Nets are doing.
They go from overnight joke to potentially second best team in the Eastern Conference anyway.
Pretty much. Ladies and gentlemen out there, if you have any reaction to what the Brooklyn Nets are doing, opinion, think it's a good idea, bad idea, call in 201-430-2119. We know you're probably at work, but tell your boss it's an important phone call. I don't know.
Pick up the phone. Give us a call.
Yeah, come on. Join the party. You can also hit us up on Twitter at DavidHastings23 and at SportsZoneJoeyD.
That's right, baby.
If you hit us on Twitter, for the most part, we're looking at our Twitter accounts throughout the show, so you easily can get in contact with us through that as well. And sooner or later, we're going to set up the email on the website so people can do emails to us live on the show as well. Maybe that makes life a little easier for you to communicate with us too. But shout out real quick to everybody in our chat room. Hi, sis. Happy to see you in the chat room. Shout out to everybody that is also listening to us through the ClubZone.fm app.
That's right, baby.
And if you don't have the ClubZone.fm app, make sure you download it. It's available for both all smartphones.
It's free. It's simple. It's free. Just download it.
And most importantly, that means you can take me and Joey wherever you go.
Hi.
And let's be honest here. And you wake up early, you're taking a trip down the shore. Boom. Bust out the ClubZone.fm app. Boom. There's Dave's Bangs and Joey Balls. I mean, I'm just saying. It's
hasn't
a great
been
way
Dave's
to go.
Bangs in a while, man.
Yeah, there hasn't been, but, people still call me, and it'll be back. It's just summertime. It really is. Like I told everybody when I first got the short haircut, it's summertime. I can't do long hair. I just can't. It just doesn't work. So, anyway, yesterday, the Nets in principle agreed to trade for Joe Johnson, who is the one downfall. The guy is owed nearly $90 million in the next 3 years, which is insanity.
Ouch.
But Joe Johnson's a beast.
He's definitely a good player. I don't think he's worth that money that he's making, but if you put him in the same lineup as Darren Williams, obviously Joe Johnson, now Gerald Wallace, and there's reports coming out that the Nets still are talking to Orlando about Dwight. Yo, Joe Johnson is a great player on that team then.
Joe Johnson could be a beast on that kind of a team. You got to keep in mind, he tends to be the best one-on-one scorer that the Hawks have had over the past couple of years. The offense sort of always falls at his feet when they're desperate for a basket or desperate to make a move or desperate to do something. And if he goes to a team where he's not really required to do everything, I think he can turn into well worth that $90 million over the next 3 years.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I got a little question on my board. Does this move make the Nets better than the Knicks?
No. No.
What do you mean, no?
I say no because, I said this to Joey on the ride down. If everything goes the way the Nets are hoping they go, they have 4 players on their entire team. They need 8 more guys. We all saw Miami last year play with 3 superstars on their team and not do anything.
Whoa. They made it to the NBA Finals. Granted, they lost in the NBA Finals.
They lost in the NBA Finals to an old veteran team with one really good player. Everybody else is, for their careers. Let me make sure this is understood. Jason Kidd last season when the Mavericks made the Finals, I would not consider a top point guard, out of, the best of the best. Over his career, obviously, we know what J. Kidd is. But I'm saying for that year, they were fit. Tyson Chandler, let's be honest, Tyson Chandler, great on defense, great rebounder. He's not scoring a lot of points for you. He's not making much of a difference on the offensive side of the ball. A guy like J.J. Barea, who fit more of the scheme that they ran in Dallas than anything else. The guy didn't do much this year. I think he was in Utah or Golden State. I don't know where J.J. Barea ended up. But
I think he ended up with Minnesota.
He might have ended up with Minnesota.
I think Minnesota he ended up going to. Yeah?
Yeah. I was reading I looked over at what Pixel said.
I saw you continuously talking and then all of a sudden you started
Pixel points out, this move makes the Nets what the Knicks were when they got Amari for his first year. And I get what you're trying to say with that, where it was just like, you had Amari, you had some young players. Let's see what we have.
Makes them relevant.
On paper, the Knicks are a better team, yes. And that's mainly because the Knicks have a full roster and the Nets would have 4 players on their entire team.
So can you break down that trade a little bit? Because I didn't hear of like half of those players that they traded. So I'm just curious as to why Atlanta would want a whole team for Joe Johnson when, let's be honest, they're probably going to cut 3 of those players.
What I think Atlanta's trying to do is Atlanta's trying to lower how much money they're spending. Because of the fact they also traded forward Marvin Williams to Utah for point guard Devin Harris.
Which I like that move.
Williams has like 3 years and $20 million owed to him. He has a nice chunk of change owed to him as well. And I think Harris is in the last year of his deal. So what that does for you is, as Atlanta's point of view, is Atlanta now can say to themselves, we just shed $90 million in cap over the next 3 years. We get rid of Marvin Williams and bring in a good point guard to play, but doesn't cost us as much money. And now we also have the money to try and trade for Dwight Howard and sign him. And that's the big debate now. Some people think that they're going to try and make a
push on Dwight Howard.
Yeah, they're going to try and make a push to get Dwight Howard as well.
Makes sense. You cleared all that cap room. From what I understand, Dwight Howard was Josh Smith's best man at his wedding. So, Dwight's from Atlanta. Maybe it makes sense. All I know is that Dwight is kind of, he's in the driver's seat, and one way or another, he's really just going to flip wherever he gets traded to into a good thing. Because, technically he keeps saying, there's only one team on my list, being the Nets. But let's be honest, if he gets traded to Atlanta, he could swing it being like, hey, I didn't say Atlanta wasn't on my list.
I didn't say that I had anything against Atlanta. You know what? I almost feel like Dwight Howard is like that kid in the, in kindergarten that's like, I want all the toys, but then doesn't play with any of them, but gets mad at you if you play with them, kind of thing. I'm sorry, to me, this is almost becoming immature, but at the same time, it's like it's hard to say that because this is this guy's life.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's hard to make that judgment on him when you think about it, because it's like, you know what? If we had to move this show to some third world country where I didn't know the language and would not be comfortable living, I don't know if I could go. But if you said to me we were moving this show to Los Angeles or into middle of Times Square or something crazy cool like that, I'd be like, all right, let's go. Mm-hmm. So you get it within a reason. If you have options, you want to take your favorite of the options. So you get that. But at the same time, you have all the opportunity in the world where you are. You were beloved in Orlando up to about a year ago.
Because of all, him throwing Stan Van Gundy underneath the bus.
Exactly. And I'm not even saying Orlando fans love Stan Van Gundy. I'm just saying Orlando fans have dealt with some junk like this when it was Shaq. And they didn't want to have to deal with this again. And here they are again pretty much 20 years later, 15 years later.
In the exact same situation, too. Go figure.
Exact same
Go
situation.
figure.
Retardedly talented basketball player, a big man who you really don't even know what the surface of his potential really can be. It's unbelievable. Dwight Howard still has so much he can learn about the game of basketball to make him a better big man. It's not even funny. Imagine if he developed a Patrick Ewing fadeaway or the Keem Olajuwon hook. Imagine if he developed some of these things.
He can't develop the Akeem Olajuwon hook only for the simple fact that Olajuwon is now giving the hook to everybody in the NBA. So
this is true. Olajuwon's just looking for anybody.
He's giving it to Amare. He's giving it to LeBron. So maybe the David Robinson hook or something now. We'll get somebody else to teach him.
The Kareem Skyhook.
The Kareem Skyhook. There we go. Let's get somebody else.